Putting data at the heart of your customer experience allows you to make steady and measured improvements. Google Optimize Personalization feature allows you to use data to create focused and relevant customer experiences. We talk about that in the next video, but let's start by looking at Google Optimize A/B testing. Okay, so this is our setup. Imagine, if you will, that you and I work for a specialist online pet company. Creative design geniuses have built this great storefront for us, and they assure us that it's perfect. But I'm not so sure. For example, I don't think this headline is quite right. Now, we could ask them to change it, but they have said that that's going to cost a fortune. So we just want to run a quick experiment and try something that we think is a little better, and then see how that affects our traffic. Now, I'm not a creative genius. Maybe you are. And I'm not a copywriter either. But as the two people in charge of customer experience at Jerry's online vet hub place, we know our pets. Now, our idea might be a little better, it may be worse. But that's the challenge. Change the title, let 50% of visitors see the new version and 50% see the original, and then work out how that helps our traffic. So let's start by opening Google Optimize. The easiest way in is by logging into Google Analytics and then clicking on the View button. Here you can see a few of the tools provided by Google, including Tag Manager, Data Studio, and of course Optimize. There are really powerful things you can do by using customer data with all these Google services. So I'm going to be posting videos showing you how you can tie all that together to create some compelling customer experiences. Hit subscribe to add that to your feed. But for now, let's go into Google Optimize, which is this purple icon with arrows. If you've not set up your Google Optimize account yet, you will be guided through this process. It's all pretty straightforward. You will need to install a JavaScript snippet on your website, and that can be done directly or using Google Tag Manager. It's also worth noting that you will be needing to use Google Chrome with the Optimize plugin installed. I'll post links to both the Optimize setup documents and the Chrome plugin on our website, and link to that in the video notes. Okay, setup out the way, let's have a first look at Google Optimize and what we've got to work with. Here we have a pretty empty account. It's one I've set up for the purposes of this video. We have one running experience already. That's the personalization one I'm going to talk about in the next video. For now, if you remember our task, we want to change the title on our website, Jerry's Online Vet Hub Place. And in Google Optimize language, that is done by creating an experience. So some people are going to experience the old headline and some people are going to experience the new one. Given that, it's pretty obvious what we need to do. Let's click Create Experience. When the slider pops open, you can see we have 5 different types of experience, including multivariates, redirects, banner templates, and of course the two we're focusing on in these 2 videos, A/B test and personalization. A/B test is already selected, so let's just put in an appropriate title and hit Create. Okay, right, this is our blank experience. The first thing we need to do, as suggested by the screen, is create a variant. This is the magic bit of Optimize. Each variant is a set of modifications we're asking Optimize to make to our site. In our case, that's going to be changing the title on one of our pages, but it could be much more extensive than that. So to put it another way, when someone comes in and looks at our site, Google Optimize is going to reach a robotic hand out the sky and change how our site looks to that person, all without us having to change anything in the code on our site or even in the content management system. Okay, that does sound pretty unlikely, so let's go through it and create 2 variants, each with a different title. One is going to be my idea and the second is going to be yours. Let's say we've been arguing all day and we're now going to settle this once and for all. So let's start by clicking this Create Variant button. My idea is all around healthy and happy pets. I think that's the emotive thing that's going to drive this, so I'm going to give the variant a name that represents that. And now let's add yours. You think that the message should be about keeping your pets, keeping you company forever. So let's just give it a quick title that sums that up. There, we have our setup. 3 different variants. The original, representing the site as it is now, and our 2 new ones. You can see that each has been given a weight of 33%, That means that when this experience is running, each of these variants are going to get 33, or a third, of the traffic. We also have a preview button, which we'll come to in a bit. And next to our two variants, we have a red bit of text saying that so far there are no changes. This is the number of modifications that Optimize will do to our site with its virtual robotic hand. And then there's a very tempting edit button right next to each. But before we succumb to clicking that, let's check one thing. We are asking Optimize to change the content on our site. That content could be one page or it could be used on multiple pages. For example, if we were changing a header. We need to pick a single page that contains all the content we want to edit. That's the editor page here. The page targeting is all the pages we want to participate in our experiment. And that can be a single page or you can use a URL pattern. So the editor page is the page we're going to edit now when we want to design our variant. Now we're happy we have that correct. Let's finally succumb to clicking on the edit button. This is the magic bit. The first thing that will happen is that the page that we've marked as our editor page will load. Next, the Optimizer editor overlay will load. Once that's done, you can start to move your cursor around your page and the various elements that it's made of will all be highlighted. You can pick pretty much any page element and then with that selected, change it in any way you want or even remove it. But let's not get carried away and let's stick to the task in hand. We want to change the title. So let's select it and then click the Edit Element button. We can change the text, edit the HTML, add some new HTML, or even run some JavaScript. And that gives us a lot of scope to experiment. For now, let's choose Edit Text. This places our title into edit mode, where we can just, edit it and put in our new title. So my idea for our new title was to keep pets healthy and happy, and this is the magnificent copy I've come up with. Let's click Finish, as that text is perfect. And just to bring that perfection to the foreground, I'm going to diminish the title of our brand a little bit. There we go, beautiful. Click Save to save the changes, and then click Finished to return to the experience in Google Optimize. My variant is now listing two changes, which were the title and the shop brand name. Now let's go in and give your idea the same treatment. Click Edit to go back into the editor. You and I work closely together and I want to give both our ideas as much chance as each other. So firstly, I'm going to reduce the font on Vet's online hub place for you as well, and then add your copy. There we go. Also beautiful. Snappy, to the point, love it. Click Save and Finish. We're almost set up and ready to go. We have our original, which has no modifications to our site, and we've got our two variants, Healthy and Happy and Live Forever. We can use the preview option now to open each of these and check that everything is okay and we've not managed to butcher our site. You can preview as web, mobile and tablet, and you can also share the preview. So I now might send this to you and say, hey, are you happy with your version? Good to go. And you can also debug the experience. That becomes slightly more useful when we look at personalization in the next video. So let's quickly preview all our variants and check that everything is good. Variant 1, then variant 2, and we can see that we have our original already open. So if we jump between them, we can see that Google Optimize's invisible hand is modifying our sites as we'd asked it to. Let's go back to Google Optimize, tidy up a couple of things, and then put this baby live. 3 things to do. First, add a description so other members of the team know what we're up to. Secondly, set an objective. Doing this is important. Google Optimize will use this objective to determine which of the variants is best, if it can. It will give you a load of stats and information, and if there is a clear winner out of any one of your variants, it will tell us clearly. I have an example of that I'll show you after this bit. So let's click this to set our objective. We said we wanted our new title to increase people's engagement with us, so for that I'm going to use session length, the amount of time our visitors browse our site. We want the title that results in longer sessions. This screen shows you the available options, and some of them are built in, but others have been pulled in from objectives in the linked Google Analytics account. So you can get pretty granular here with multiple goals and objectives. We're going to go for the built-in session duration option though, so let's just select that. The final thing we need to do is set the traffic allocation. This is the percentage of visitors to our site who we want to expose to our experiment. If we have this at 100%, then every single visitor will be involved. If we were doing something maybe a bit more controversial, we could restrict that to say 30%, which means that in our case here, 10% would see each variant and then the rest would see the original. How you set this is obviously up to you. The more you have going through an experiment, the quicker a winner can be found, and really you do need a good few hundred to see each variant to start getting results. For us, I'm going to leave this at 100%. Then we can scroll up to the top where we hit start. There we go. We're live. So that's it. We're running our first A/B test. Now all we need to do is sit back, have a coffee and watch the data come in and see if any of our titles have made a difference. The beauty of tools like Google Optimize is how easy they make it to do experiments like this. If this had required us to make changes to the code, that would have been at some cost to the business. Time, money, people, distraction. And this small change might not have had any impact. But because it was so easy to do, we've tried it. Now this is a very light example, but things like this, especially when tied to data and analytics, can make a real difference to your conversations. Check out our next video on Google Optimize to see how customer data can be used directly in Google Optimize Personalization to start creating seamless customer experiences. But before we finish, what does a successful experiment look like? Well, here's one we made earlier. The aim of this experiment was to try to increase the number of people signing up to a newsletter. We know when people sign up to receive email newsletters, we can send them personalised content via recommendations, and they spend more. So that's the objective of this, increase the number of people signing up. In the experiment, the original represents a flow that has no sign-up option, so it was never going to do very well. Then there were two variants, both asking people to sign up, but both with slightly different marketing copy. 31,000 people participated in the experiment, therefore roughly 10,000 saw each variant. The first variant, marketing copy A, converted 196 people, 1.85%, i.e. they signed up, and marketing copy B converted 557, that's almost 5%. So we have a clear winner. And Google Optimize is telling us that and suggesting we end the experiment. Go deploy this. And now we can, knowing we're likely to get almost 5% more people signing up to our newsletter than before. So let's hope one of our titles has the same impact on our vet practice. So that's A/B testing in Google Optimize. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to click like and hit subscribe. But now, in the next video, we're facing a serious business challenge. Vet's online hub place has got a new and dangerous competitor. To rise to that challenge, we're going to have to step things up a gear and use Google Optimize Personalization. See you there.